got to say, I used to absolutely live for the people that were open to transparently sharing their numbers, their game plans, and their results imperfectly when I was coming up. And that's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to be sharing my 2025 game plan, pulling back the curtains, sharing real numbers. So let's get into it. When I go through my planning process, it generally happens in three parts. The first kind of bucket of things that I focus on, and I usually do this at the beginning of the year, is that I'll set a vision for what it is that I actually want from the year. Now, that's step number one. So I'll tell you big picture what I do first and foremost. Step number two is that I then make the plan to allow me to make that vision come to life. And that's the nitty gritty of things like marketing plans and campaign plans. And I'll talk about all of that shortly as well. And then number three is that I actually track. So I track how things go, what went well, what didn't go well, and what I want to change as I go along. So one thing I want to say first and foremost up front is this whole planning thing isn't done with the expectation that it's going to go perfectly, because you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to look back at the end of 2025 and I'm going to say, wow, things actually rolled out so differently. But the intention is the most important thing, because when you make the plan and then you track the data and then you look at the data, you can actually say, okay, well, this was my sort of hypothesis around how I thought things would go. It's not going to plan, and therefore I'm going to course correct with an armor of information in front of me rather than just kind of floating along. So let's break down step number one of my 2025 game plan and what it is that I have set as my vision for this year. Now, some people love the whole word of the year concept. Some people are like, meh, it's not for me. I actually love it. And I love it so much that I have set 3 words of the year. Now, bear with me for a minute, because there is more to my words of the year than simply setting them, putting them into a desk drawer and then looking back at the end of the year and saying, oh yeah, well, that didn't actually really happen. So the way that I go about doing it is that usually that word that I want to encapsulate the year, or for me, it's 3 words this year, it'll come to me randomly, as all of my best ideas do, usually in a walk that I do around my hometown. I love my walks because I feel like it's just where I have these brain sparks of inspiration. But my words for 2025 energy, and I kind of tossed up between energy and vitality, but I've gone with energy. Influence, so a sense of influence, and then also integrity. And when I say integrity, more integrity to self, so I actually do the things that I say that I'm going to do. So those 3 words are the words that I think are really going to support me with the goals that I have for this year. Energy and vitality, I think, just is the undercurrent and underpins everything for me. And what it actually practically looks like is things like making sure that I'm managing my diet and my exercise and working in a way that feels spacious and not constantly feeling like I'm butting up against a time wall. For me, influence is a big part of the personal brand building that I want to focus on this year. And I'm going to talk about that more as in future episodes, because I think it's something that everyone needs to be focusing on to really armor themselves with the changing times. But influence for me is not just building the volume of traffic required to, for example, sell my offers, but actually building a very robust reputation and authority within this space. And then number 3 is that integrity piece, which is just doing what I tell myself I am going to do. And actually a big part of that for me is not over-committing or assuming that I can do a gazillion things, and being more realistic about what I can actually do and then at all costs, making sure that I commit to it. So that's what I mean by setting the vision. Now, if you're listening in real time, or even if you're listening later on, you would know that we are in February. And so most people wouldn't set their vision or create a vision board or any of that sort of thing midway through the year. But why the frick not? So I, for me, have gone through the process of setting my vision, and then I have created a vision board. I did it in Canva. I look on Pinterest, and I come up with like images that honestly feel so like inspiring to me. And funny story is I have gone in and out of doing this vision board thing. Sometimes I'm like, man, I'm not going to do it. Sometimes I do it. When I do it, it comes true. And I'm not really like a woo-woo person, right? But my gosh, there was this vision board that I created in the first or second year of my business. And I had like, I want to sell 200 courses. I had a little picture of like a guy with a little boy on his surfboard. I had a beach house. Anyway, fast forward, I find this thing a little bit later on, and all of those things have come to fruition. So you best believe that I have a vision board now, and I have on that vision board all of the things that embody those words and really feel like, like a deep sense of, wow, if I could bring these things to life, that would be exciting for me. Like it would feel freaking amazing. And I have it on my desk screensaver. And I did have it as my phone screensaver as well. But the very first day that I put it on my phone, I was out at like a lunch and somebody picked up or saw my phone when like a message flashed up on the screen. And they were like, why do you have Lindsay Lohan on your screensaver? And I had her because I was like, skincare is such a big thing for me. And her transformation is like, oh my gosh, like I want to have her skin. And so then I took it off because I didn't want other people to see it as well. So it can be just for you. So that is step number one. And you might think, okay, cool, but how does that have to, what does that have to do with the business side of things? And for me, obviously, I teach lifestyle business. So lifestyle business is my jam, and it is making sure that you set the intention for what it is that you actually want, and then you build a business that delivers that answer for you. And so I think it's especially important when it comes to a lifestyle business, if that's the sort of business that you actually want to have. So once you have that like overarching vision, you'll then go into your end game number. So this is not setting a revenue goal for the year. Most people start with setting a revenue goal for the year. Now, the problem with that is that if you start with revenue, it is so easy just to chase it at any cost. And often that cost can be the things that you set on your vision board as the things that you actually wanted. So, that might look like freedom or spaciousness or flexibility or great skin that isn't affected by stress, right? And then if you set your revenue goal as like your North Star when you get to the next part of setting your vision, it becomes the only metric of success. And I think that is problematic. And so this end game number is what you want as yes, it's a revenue metric, but it is a revenue metric that is set with the concept of enough in mind, rather than the concept of more. And this is my entire body of work around creating a lifestyle business, defining your enough number. But what that enough number is, or that end game number, is the amount of money that your business should be making in order to fulfill your personal lifestyle expenses. Also to allow you to invest in assets that will eventually make work optional by paying you a salary. So my goal is always, when you come into business, you want to, within a 10-year period of time, have the ability to make work optional by investing in assets outside of your business that will one day pay you a salary, but then to love what you do so much that you wouldn't even want to stop anyway. So it is how much that actually needs to be. And then it is the amount that your business then needs to make in order to make those things possible for you. And so the whole nuance here is rather than starting with a revenue number and picking an arbitrary number, a lot of people will pick $1 million or $100,000 if you're not at $1 million. It is more around saying, okay, well, I want a lifestyle business. What is the amount of money that my business should make to allow me to have the lifestyle I want, but also to be a savvy business owner and to set yourself up for a future that is work optional as well. And then once you have that number, it then becomes setting a revenue number that allows that to happen. And so really the only thing here is then adding your expenses, your fixed expenses, things like marketing and operations, and then your marketing expenses, which you would hope have a return for your business on top of that in order to come up with your revenue number. So you're not picking a arbitrary revenue number, but you're actually picking a revenue number that is going to include your personal requirements, your investing requirements, and your expenses to come up intentionally with that number. So that is the vision setting piece for putting together a 2025 game plan. So what that looks like very practically for me, my goal is that I want to double the revenue that I made last year. Now, the number hasn't been chosen arbitrarily. It's not like, oh, okay, I made this amount last year, I want to double it for next year. It is chosen with my revenue enough number in mind. So that is part one, which is setting the vision. Part number two is then, once you have set the vision, making a plan for how it is that you're going to achieve that particular vision. The first thing that I recommend doing is thinking about the constraints that you have imposed on your life. So for example, for me, I am now a school mum. I am the primary parent in the sense that I'm doing drop off and pick up, and I have my little girl Sunny at home with me one day a week as well. And so I'll have around 20 to 25 hours a week to work. And in addition to that, there are lifestyle constraints that I am not willing to sacrifice. For example, having that day with my little girl. And so when I think about making the plan, the first thing that I want to do is think about the constraints that I have around making that plan. So for me, it is, okay, well, how do I achieve this revenue goal within the time and lifestyle constraints that I have? Now, for me, that required a year or two ago a fairly significant business model shift. I went from a very high ticket, and I'm not saying high ticket in and of itself is unsustainable, but the way that I had built the model for me was unsustainable. Well, I was making the goal that I have for this year easily and actually more, but I was doing it at the sacrifice of the time and the lifestyle constraints that I wanted for myself. So I didn't have any time. I was working all the time, and I didn't have any time to spend with my kiddies either. And that wasn't the reason that I got into business. And so when you're thinking about making the plan, you want to be clear on, okay, so what are the time and lifestyle constraints? Either that I have as of they're not going to go away. So for example, for me, I've got to pick my kids up, and yes, I could probably have someone else do that, but that's not something that I want to be doing, at least at the moment. But it also might be constraints that you impose voluntarily. Now, one thing that I will say here is that if you want to have a lifestyle business, right? People talk about having this passive income or, all of these sorts of things. I will never sugarcoat the fact that you need to do a lot of work and you need to do a lot of work for a fair period of time. And so if you are going to do things on reduced hours and you're just starting out, it's going to take a little bit longer. And so you need to be okay with that as well. I think it's important to be cognizant of that upfront, because otherwise you'll stress yourself out because you've imposed unrealistic timeframes for when you're going to achieve things. So once you have gotten clear on what those constraints are, it's time to actually put together what the plan is for the year. So I'm going to walk through what all of the steps are, and I'm going to walk through what I have put together for my plan for 2025. So the first part of making the plan is deciding on your offer suite. And so this very simply is the suite of offers that you are going to be selling. So my offer suite for Q1 of 2025 is set up in the way that I teach others to do, which is a simple offer suite where you have one core offer that comprises 60 to 70% or more of your revenue. And so it can be a low ticket offer, it can be a high ticket offer. You'll want to find the right offer that aligns with you as the founder. For example, you wouldn't choose a lower ticket model if you hate marketing and content creation because you need to drive a lot of leads and therefore you need to do a lot of marketing and content creation. So for me, that core offer is Lifestyle Business School. And so my number one way that I have set up my offer suite is that all roads ultimately lead to Lifestyle Business School. So the offer suite looks like Lifestyle Business School. Now, this is it has and it will continue to comprise the majority of the revenue in my business. In addition to that, Lifestyle Business School is made up of 7 or 8 different online courses. And so each of those single courses are part of my offer suite as well. So the way that I intend to have that set up is that even though they are available to be sold individually, they will ultimately all lead to the core offer. So if somebody purchases a single course, for example, there will be an opportunity to then purchase the main thing, right? And then the other part of my offer suite is that in addition to Lifestyle Business School and then the ability to purchase the single courses, I also have affiliate revenue. So I have a goal to build up the affiliate revenue side of my business. Affiliate revenue is when I refer other products, services, and people that I genuinely recommend to my audience. So that is a part of my offer suite because I have revenue coming in for that particular revenue source. And also what I call small audience offers. So these are offers that generally sell for between like $29 and $49, around that kind of range. And the goal of those offers is just to offset my marketing spend. And so rather than considering that a revenue stream inside of my business, it is actually just my marketing offer. So I call it my audience offer or my marketing offer. And they solve a small problem, then they leave a gap that is leaving people ready for the core offer. And so that is the offer suite for me. And it's simple. There isn't a whole lot of things. You can see how things really simply and easily flow into each other. Now, I will say that that may not be the entirety of the offer suite for the rest of 2025, but Lifestyle Business School will still be the core kind of essential core offer inside of the business. And there may be other opportunities for maximizing profit with what I call profit maximizers. So, upsells, downsells, cross sells, the ability to maybe work more deeply with me at a higher level, but it all kind of offshoots from the core offer, essentially. So offer suite is the first part of making the plan. Now, the second part of making the plan is putting together the campaign plan for the year. When I talk about campaigns, I mean launches, promotions, any way that you are selling your offers. So a campaign is marketing speak for what in the online business world is often called a launch or a promotion or something along those lines. It is a concentrated set of activities designed to sell your offers. So for me, this is the mix of marketing campaigns incorporating launches, promotions, and my evergreen funnel that I intend to focus on for Q1. So I only plan a quarter ahead for these because often your campaigns will change. You'll test something, it doesn't work the way you want it to, something will work better. And so you'll start to iterate. And I find that if you plan too far in advance, it gets a little bit difficult. So for me, campaign number one is my evergreen funnel. So Lifestyle Business School at the moment works on an automated evergreen funnel. This is the same funnel process. I have every single step laid out inside of one of the courses inside of Lifestyle Business School. And my goal for that, and it's interesting because I set this in January and it has already changed, is 2 per month. Now, I set that as 2 per month because I'm kind of in like the new phase with that particular evergreen funnel. I wasn't really sure what to expect. And so what has actually happened is that I have sold 9 or 10 of those in January. And so that is 5 times what the goal actually was. And so even though the goal was a month, I had a specific goal for how I was going to achieve that. I have already hit that. But interestingly, I have hit it in this area, but with the next campaign that I ran in January, I didn't hit it. And so it just goes to show that, you can make the plans and then you just kind of have to see what happens. So when you are putting together a campaign plan, what you want to do is like grab a big yearly calendar. You can buy one of those ones from like the stationery shop. We have Officeworks, or you can just like plot it all out on a spreadsheet. And you want to kind of first put in your holidays, put in any like personal dates, etc., school holidays, that it's not going to be a good idea to be running campaigns. And then from there, you'll then start to map out what you're going to be selling and when. And so for me, the first campaign is my evergreen funnel. I'm running that all the time. And therefore, I have that kind of mapped out on my campaign plan for every single month. Once you have like the plotting of it, you then want to set goals for how you're actually going to achieve whatever the goal you set for that. So for example, for the evergreen funnel, my goal was 2 sales every single month. Now, the things that will influence getting those 2 sales, there are 2 things. There is your conversion rate, which is the percentage of people that see the offer that buy. And then there is the number of people that see the offer. So for me, I came to the goal of 2 because I had a goal of a 1.5% conversion rate, meaning that 1.5% of people that saw the offer purchased, and that 133 people would click over to that particular campaign every month. And so that's how I use a data-driven approach to actually set goals for my campaigns. And this is how you do it in marketing. You set the goal and then you work out, okay, so what is my conversion rate going to be for whatever campaign funnel I'm running, which is the process you lead people through to purchase. And then based on that, how much traffic do I need? Now, we have all of the spreadsheets and calculators for this inside of Lifestyle Business School to make it super simple. So the second campaign that I am testing out running is monthly promotions for the single courses inside of Lifestyle Business School. So inside of Lifestyle Business School, you can purchase all of the courses together, but I'm testing out promotions for single courses where I basically shine a spotlight on one of the courses each and every month. So in January, the light that I shone was for operational elegance, which, perfectly suited that particular time of the year. People were coming in, they wanted to set their systems and their back end up. And so I ran a promotion for operational elegance. Now, the goal for those smaller promotions is around 30 sales per promotion. And then, of course, just like I did with the evergreen funnel, I need to reverse engineer how to achieve that goal. And so I needed to know my conversion rate goal, and I needed to know how many clicks I needed to the sales page for the promotion. And so for that particular promotion, I came to the goal of 30. Obviously, it depends on the price point as well in getting to these numbers, and figured out that I would need about a 2% conversion rate, which is average for this sort of offer, and about 1,500 clicks to the sales page. So interestingly, I didn't hit my goals for this particular promotion in January. Now, I track all of the data for those promotions, and I can see very clearly that I didn't hit my traffic goal for that promotion. And I can also see that I didn't take the action that I needed to hit that traffic goal. So even though I did send out 10 emails to my email list, I wasn't really promoting it on things like social media because I had 2 little kids at home. And I also didn't hit the conversion rate, which means that I'm needing to look into, okay, so what was the reason for that? Now, I'm promoting a different course this month, and it'll be interesting to see the difference. I will obviously learn from last month, and I will see how it goes, iterate, and go from there. So the third type of campaign that I'm running in Q1 is a bigger quarterly launch for Lifestyle Business School. Now, I have a goal of around 50 sales for that. And what I have figured out is that I need about 2,500 people to opt in for that particular launch with a 2% conversion rate. So 2% of those people purchasing. So they're the campaigns that I'm planning on running. I plot all of that out inside of my campaign plan, all of the same templates that I provide inside of Lifestyle Business School. And once I have that campaign plan and the goals in place, I can then move on to the next step of making the plan, which is the marketing plan. And this is where I feel like it's quite fun. And I can start to plan out all of my marketing activities for the year. Now, when it comes to marketing, there are essentially 3 different things that you want to focus on. You want to focus on top of funnel, being how are you getting new eyeballs into your world. You want to focus on middle of funnel, which is how are you building trust with those eyeballs that come into your world. And then bottom of funnel, which is how are you driving the requisite number of clicks to whatever promotion it is that you're looking at running. So when I put together my marketing plan, the way that I structure my marketing at the moment is that I focus on building my email list. So I'm building my email list, building my email list, building my email list, and then I'm promoting to that email list. Now, that is different to what is called direct response marketing, which I do for my evergreen funnel, where it's like people come straight into the marketing campaign and they either buy or they don't. It is getting much more difficult to do direct response marketing these days because people need more trust before they buy. And so focusing on this like marketing funnel, having like top of funnel where people come in and they first get to know who you are and your business and your offers are, then to middle of funnel, which is building that trust, and down to bottom of funnel is the way that I think about my marketing. So in terms of what the actual plan for that is, I'm actually going to cover that in detail in next week's podcast episode. I'm going to go through what that top of funnel is, what the middle of funnel is, and what the bottom of funnel is, and exactly what my plans are, the strategies, etc., that I'm looking at implementing in order to achieve that revenue goal and my campaign plan metrics for this year. But that's how you think about it in terms of actually putting together your marketing activities. What is it going to be top of funnel? What is it going to be middle of funnel? And then what is it going to be bottom of funnel in terms of the number of clicks that you actually need? So the final step of making the plan is not related to business. And I can't stress how important this part of it is. You've got to think about who it is that you need to be in order to bring all of your plans to life. So this is something that I glossed over for a really long period of time. I used to burn myself out. I would fall off the bandwagon and then I would get back on, and it was just a little bit chaotic. And so for me, at this particular point, I start to think about what are the habits that I need to install? What are the systems that I need? What is the support and infrastructure that I need in order to bring the plans that I have to life? And so they can be little things and they can be big things. A couple of the examples of things that I've really been working on in January. Number one, content and influence is really, really big for me in 2025. So I have been working on refining a content system that is going to mean that when I actually sit down to record, like, you know, it can be little things. Like I already have like the podcast microphone set up. I already have everything ready to go. I already have all of my ideas in my idea vault. I already have like the rough structure of what this is going to be because I have a process in place for doing that. It can also be things like, and an example of this very transparently for me, it can also be things like habits and who you need to be, in the sense that, for example, for me, marketing is like huge. And therefore, like, I have struggled with like how I look, right? And so, for example, I don't like the way that I look in front of a camera. And that might be because, I had 2 glasses of wine the night before. And of course, I'm going to look like I've got dry skin and I feel a little bit yucky, right? So it's like, okay, well, who do I need to be in order to be somebody that shows up and, carries out their marketing plan? Does it mean that I need to go to bed a little bit early? I need to be drinking more water. I need to be more cognizant of the things that are going to make me look and feel good when, for example, I'm creating marketing content in front of the camera. And we often gloss over those things, but actually they can be the difference between making a plan and then talking yourself down because you couldn't do it, right? And actually giving yourself all of the resources to make it something that actually happens. And so that's a huge part of it as well. So once you have your plan in place, step number 3 is bringing it all to life. And so this is the execution piece. So by now you've set the vision, you're clear on what your revenue goal is, what your offers are, what your campaigns are going to be, what your marketing is going to look like, who you need to be in order to bring those things to life. Then you're kind of like setting yourself up for success to actually go through and start to implement and to take action. So from here, the one habit that I highly recommend installing as you go through and you're implementing, so obviously part of this is the implementation, so actually doing the thing, but is tracking the thing. And tracking is something that people think is boring, or they say they're not a math person, or they understand that they kind of need to do it and then they don't actually go ahead and do it. I can say, hands down, that this one habit that takes me 10 minutes on a Friday every single week, I have it sitting in my ClickUp. I tick it off every Friday. I don't miss it. That one habit is a domino habit that allows the whole of the rest of it to happen. So what do I track? I track the key metrics in my business. I track revenue, I track expenses, and I track profit. I do that every single week so that I have a snapshot of the overall health of my business. I then also track my time, being the number of hours that I work, and I literally just do that by a time track in ClickUp, and it's beautifully done these days in ClickUp. You can just see the number at the end of the week. And I also track my fulfillment. So what is my fulfillment from 1 to 10 every single week? And then that takes care of like the top line. Like they're the numbers that matter the most. They are also metrics that you won't actually know whether they are going to be negatively affected until other things have been negative affected in your business. And so in addition to those top line metrics, I also track inside of like a KPI scorecard, the top being like how I get in front of new people, middle of funnel being how do I build trust with people, and bottom of funnel being how do I drive clicks to whatever campaign I'm running, and then how does that campaign perform? Metrics that matter inside of my business. Now, when you're getting started with this, I actually recommend that you just track 2 metrics in each section. An action metric being, did I do the thing? And an outcome metric being, what was the result of that? So for example, let's say that growing your subscribers is how you are going to increase your top of funnel. So it might be, how much did I spend on meta ads, if that's your strategy, right? And then how many subscribers did I get? And that's it. So it's like, did I take the action? Did I spend the money? And did it have the intended outcome? And as you start to get more sophisticated, perhaps as you start to have a little bit of support in your business, you can increase the number of other metrics that you're tracking. But you want to do that every single week. And then you want to set aside about half an hour to make a plan for, okay, so based on these numbers, what am I going to change? What am I going to do differently next week? And then I have a productivity funnel. I teach this inside of Operational Elegance, where I then just plot out, all right, what are the tasks that I'm going to complete next week based on what that is saying? The other things that I track inside of my business, I track my time, which obviously goes into that KPI tracker. And I also have a net wealth tracker. So a big part of building a lifestyle business is that you want to make sure that you are making profit in your business, but also you're using that profit smartly. You're investing into assets that compound over time to eventually make work optional. And so you want to track exactly how that is going. What gets tracked gets done. So that is it. That is my game plan for 2025. In terms of just summarizing what it actually looks like, number one is setting that vision. So what are those words? What are the intentions you're setting for the year? Visualize it, create a vision board. Even if you're listening to this on June the 26th, and if it literally is June the 26th, please send me a message because my gosh. So setting the vision. Then what is your end game enough number? So, what do I need for lifestyle? What do I need for making work optional and investing outside of the business? What does that number need to be? And then what does the revenue number need to be in order to bring that to life? And then from there, making your plan. So what is the offer suite, the simple offer suite I'm focused on? What is my campaign plan? What am I selling throughout the year? What is the marketing plan that I'm using to fuel that campaign plan? And then actually executing on it all and tracking the results, tracking your key metrics across your revenue, your time and your fulfillment, then tracking your top, middle and bottom of funnel metrics and tracking your net, your wealth and the profit that you're investing into assets outside of the business as well. So that is a bit of an insight into my 2025 game plan. I'm over on Substack. I have all of this mapped out in detail. I'm going to put the link inside of the show notes for you to check that out. If you want to know more about what my exact revenue results were for 2024 so that you can get an idea of what that revenue goal is for 2025, that is also in a different article that I will link in there as well. And I want to just say thank you. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I have some really exciting plans for 2025. I was using those exciting plans as an excuse not to get started for the year, but I'm just getting started imperfectly, as I recommend that you do when it comes to your game plan. And I'll leave it there. Please, if you're enjoying this episode, I've got a lot more to come. Hit the little follow on whatever platform you're listening to this in, and I will see you in a few days. Bye for now.